A day the world stopped. June 25, 2009. In Los Angeles, the sun blazed over the wealthy neighborhood of Holmby Hills. Behind the gates of a lavish rented mansion, however, a tragedy was unfolding that would send shockwaves across the globe. Stay in the spotlight. Hit like and subscribe for more untold celebrity stories. At 12:21 p.m., a frantic 911 call was placed. The voice on the other end, Dr. Conrad Murray, spoke hurriedly but with restraint. "We have a gentleman here who needs help. He's not breathing." The dispatcher asked if the man was on the floor. Murray replied, "He's on the bed." The operator's tone sharpened. "Then get him on the floor. Start CPR now." But it was too late. Just hours later, news outlets interrupted programming. Anchors' voices trembled. Michael Jackson, the king of pop, was gone at 50. Within minutes, the world was paralyzed in disbelief. Twitter crashed under the surge of messages. Television channels replayed his greatest performances. Fans gathered outside hospitals and landmarks, and streets from Tokyo to New York became sites of spontaneous mourning. But behind the headlines, questions burned. How could a man preparing for a massive comeback suddenly die in his sleep? What had really been happening in Michael Jackson's life during his final years? This is the story of the dark secrets behind his death. Michael Joseph Jackson entered the world on August 29, 1958, in Gary, Indiana, a steel town weighed down by poverty. His father, Joe Jackson, worked long shifts at the mill, while his mother, Catherine, raised 9 children in a cramped home. Music became their escape. Joe saw talent in his sons and formed them into a group, the Jackson 5. Michael, the youngest member at first, quickly proved to be the star. His high-pitched yet soulful voice and uncanny ability to perform with maturity far beyond his years astonished audiences. By age 11, Michael was topping charts with I Want You Back and ABC. He was a child prodigy, dancing with sharpness, singing with emotion, and commanding attention effortlessly. But the cost was high. Joe Jackson was a demanding disciplinarian, pushing the boys to rehearse endlessly, often with harsh punishments for mistakes. Michael would later confess he felt robbed of his childhood. "I will never know what it's like to just play with other kids," he admitted in an interview. That longing for lost innocence would define much of his adult life. When Michael struck out as a solo artist in the late 1970s, he was determined to shed the image of a child star. His collaboration with Quincy Jones led to Off the Wall, 1979, a dazzling blend of pop, soul, and disco. But Michael wanted more. In 1982, he released Thriller. With hits like Billie Jean and Beat It, the album not only broke records, it shattered the very definition of global stardom. The Thriller music video became a cultural phenomenon, and Michael's moonwalk at Motown's 25th anniversary special cemented him as a legend. By the mid-1980s, he was untouchable. He was dubbed the King of Pop, a title he wore proudly. He influenced music, fashion, dance, and celebrity culture on a scale no one had ever achieved before. But even as he reigned supreme, cracks were forming behind the scenes. With success came isolation. Michael was rarely seen without bodyguards, his life confined to studios, stages, and limousines. Tabloid media obsessed over him, dissecting everything from his friendships to his physical appearance. His skin condition, later revealed as vitiligo, was misrepresented as skin bleaching. His surgeries sparked rumors of self-hatred. The more unusual he seemed, the more the media branded him Wacko Jacko. In the early 1990s, Michael built Neverland Ranch, a sprawling estate with amusement rides and a zoo. For him, it was a sanctuary, a way to relive the childhood he never had. For critics, it was fuel for controversy. In 1993, allegations of child sexual abuse surfaced. Although the case was settled out of court and no charges were filed, Michael's image was forever stained. A second round of allegations in the early 2000s led to a sensational trial in 2005, which ended in acquittal. Still, the damage was irreparable. During these years, Michael developed increasing reliance on prescription medications. Pain from scalp burns during a 1984 Pepsi commercial accident, combined with stress and insomnia, left him dependent on powerful drugs. By the time he entered the new millennium, the King of Pop was more fragile than the public realized. Despite earning billions over his career, Michael's extravagant lifestyle, lawsuits, and poor financial management had left him deep in debt by the mid-2000s. In 2008, Neverland Ranch was nearly foreclosed. His music catalog rights, including a stake in the Beatles catalog, became entangled in financial negotiations. To save himself, Michael needed a comeback. In March 2009, he announced a concert series at London's O2 Arena, titled This Is It. Initially planned as 10 shows, overwhelming demand expanded it to 50. Tickets sold out in hours. "This is it," Michael declared. "This is the final curtain call." Fans were ecstatic. Insiders, however, worried. Michael was out of shape, under immense pressure, and already battling insomnia. The concerts promised glory, but they also pushed his already frail body to the brink. Michael had long struggled with chronic insomnia. By 2009, it had reached desperate levels. He would reportedly go for days without proper rest. Enter Dr. Conrad Murray, a cardiologist hired to monitor Michael's health during rehearsals and the tour. Michael begged Murray for a solution. He wanted what he called milk, his nickname for propofol, an anesthetic typically used in surgeries. Propofol is not a sleep aid. It requires constant monitoring and specialized equipment. Administering it at home was reckless. But Michael insisted it was the only way he could sleep. Murray, against all medical guidelines, agreed. Night after night, he gave Michael dangerous sedative cocktails. Michael's dependence deepened. Those closest to him knew he was exhausted, but few truly understood the extent of the risk. On June 24, 2009, Michael rehearsed at the Staples Center in Los Angeles. Footage later shown in the documentary This Is It revealed a performer still capable of brilliance. He sang, he danced, he smiled. The crew believed he was ready. But behind the energy was exhaustion. Friends noted that Michael often seemed frail, his body thin, his movements slower off stage. The pressure to deliver weighed heavily. Billions were riding on the tour. That night, he returned to his Holmby Hills mansion, where Dr. Murray was waiting. In the early hours, Michael begged Murray for sleep. He received Valium, then Ativan, then Midazolam. Nothing worked. Finally, at around 10:40 a.m., Murray administered propofol. Shortly after, Michael's breathing slowed. His heart stopped. Murray later admitted he had left the room for moments, a fatal mistake. When he returned, Michael was unresponsive. Panicked, Murray attempted CPR, but bizarrely, he tried to do it on the bed rather than the floor. The 911 call came too late. By the time paramedics arrived, Michael's condition was beyond saving. At 2:26 p.m., Michael Joseph Jackson was pronounced dead. The king of pop was gone. News of Michael's death spread at lightning speed. Crowds gathered outside UCLA Medical Center. Radio stations played his hits on repeat. Fans sobbed openly in the streets. Twitter crashed as millions rushed to share the news. Google temporarily shut down due to the spike in searches. Michael Jackson, a man whose fame had defined generations, had once again stopped the world in its tracks, this time through tragedy. The coroner's report revealed the cause: acute propofol intoxication. The death was ruled a homicide. Conrad Murray's actions came under intense scrutiny. Not only had he administered propofol in a non-hospital setting, but he also lacked proper monitoring equipment and failed to act swiftly once Michael was in distress. In 2011, Murray stood trial for involuntary manslaughter. The prosecution argued he had grossly violated medical standards. The defense claimed Michael had demanded the drug and even self-administered it. The jury found Murray guilty. He was sentenced to 4 years, serving 2 before his release. But many asked, was Murray the only one responsible? Or was he a pawn in a much larger system that had failed Michael Jackson for decades? Michael's death illuminated troubling realities. 1. Exploitation by the industry. Promoters and financiers pushed him to perform despite obvious frailty. The This Is It tour wasn't just about art, it was about money. Billions were at stake. 2. The culture of yes men, those around Michael often enabled his destructive habits rather than challenging him. Few dared to say no to the king of pop. 3. Addiction and desperation. Michael's battle with insomnia and reliance on drugs was no secret to insiders. Yet instead of intervention, risky medical shortcuts were allowed to continue. 4. The loneliness of fame. Behind the lights, Michael was profoundly isolated. He was surrounded by people, but rarely by truth-tellers or friends willing to confront him. In July 2009, a massive memorial service was held at the Staples Center, attended by celebrities, family, and millions watching worldwide. His daughter Paris gave a tearful tribute. "Ever since I was born, Daddy has been the best father you could ever imagine." Michael's estate soon became one of the most profitable in the world, with posthumous albums, the This Is It documentary, and Cirque du Soleil shows honoring his legacy. Yet, legal battles continued. The Jackson family clashed with concert promoter AEG Live, accusing them of negligence in hiring Murray. The jury sided with AEG, saying Murray was not their employee. Michael Jackson's legacy is complex. He remains one of the greatest entertainers of all time, an artist who revolutionized music, dance, and pop culture. His songs like Man in the Mirror, Heal the World, and Earth Song still inspire millions. Yet, the circumstances of his death serve as a cautionary tale about fame, exploitation, and the dangers of unchecked dependency. Michael was a man who gave everything to his art but received little peace in return. On June 25, 2009, the world lost a legend. But Michael Jackson's death was not just the end of a life. It was the culmination of years of pressure, exploitation, and desperation. The dark secrets behind his passing reveal not only the negligence of one doctor, but the failings of an entire system that saw him as a product rather than a person. Michael Jackson will forever be remembered for his brilliance. But his death reminds us that even the brightest stars can be consumed by the shadows of fame. Thanks for watching.